Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're going to try and solve the mystery of Black Panther. Did he get a worthwhile rework? Is the rework enough, or does he need more? So we're diving in. We're going to do some comparative tests between him and other combat characters that have come out recently and not so recently, and we're going to see if he stacks up. So the rotation we're doing for those of you, wow, that was really good actually. The rotation we're doing for those of you curious, we're doing 3 cancel 4, delayed cancel. After the second, right after the second swipe, you can cancel immediately into the 5. Now the thing that I think is going to throw a lot of people for a loop with Black Panther is the fact that he has a lot of delayed damage. He's got delayed hits on his 4th skill, he's got delayed hits on his 5th skill, and he's even got delayed hits on his 6th skill. So a lot of his rotation is actually just delayed. Now this is a surprising benefit for a combat type that usually doesn't get to cancel any of their skills, but it can also make him more difficult to play because of that. Now this is actually a slower run than usual. He actually gets it done in about, he can get it done in about 45 seconds, but we'll take this. This is a 1-minute clear on stage 99 with this exact team up. Now this is an important setup because I'm going to be giving him essentially the same comparison with another combat hero character, and I'm doing combat hero specifically so I can keep all of the, you know, the leadership the same, the supports the same. We're going to use Venom. We actually don't get that many combat heroes. We have Moon Knight, but he's transcended, so it's a bit different, measuring the damage with the burst. And then, you know, Luke Cage is a combat hero, but we all know that Luke Cage is a PvP character, not a PvE character. So really, I think the best and the most recent comparison to Black Panther's uniform is Venom's. We do have Mr. Fantastic, but Maker is a villain, so it's a little bit different. Villains don't get the same amount of buffs, so they have to, you know, be sort of built differently to compensate for that. So yeah, we're gonna go here with Venom, and the interesting thing is with Venom is instead of a proc Obelisk, although he can work with a proc Obelisk, he actually has a CTP of Rage. Now we have to try and not die here with Venom, but yeah. So we're comparing a character that has an Obelisk to a character that has a Rage. Should be fairly interesting speed-wise. It's actually a very good rotation. Bacon's loving this rotation for Venom. Okay, we got hit by the spikes, which triggered our heal, which is nice. We're now gonna pop back in. And you can see that despite Venom having a heal, I just want to point out, despite him having a heal, he almost dies. Whereas Black Panther doesn't take any damage at all. It took very little. Actually, he took some damage at the end, but yeah, their survivability seems similar, despite the fact that Venom has 2 ways to heal and Black Panther has none. So I just want to point that out. I'm not doing that to say Black Panther doesn't need a heal. I'm just doing that to say that survivability isn't just about healing. Healing matters for sure, and healing is important, but you can definitely be a good character, a great character, without having a consistent heal. I think we've just gotten used to every single character getting a heal, which may not actually be good for variety and uniqueness of characters, but I digress. So let's take a quick look at their builds now so you guys can get a better idea of, you know, that situation. Like I was saying, that the fastest run for Black Panther is closer to 4:15. That run for Venom was 4:17. So they're within 5 to 10 seconds of each other. And that is my Black Panther with straight up Uru, no Odin's Blessings, stage 8 overdrive, and a ignore dodge 160 proc. So pretty pedestrian build. He does have the mythic uniform. That's all well and good. Venom, on the other hand, I've been using him for ABX for a while. He had Odin's Blessings. I took them off. So his Uru are almost identical to Black Panther's, literally almost identical. He's got a stage 12 Power of Angry Hulk, so a little bit bigger, a little bit higher there. And then he's got a CTP of Rage. That's going to be the biggest difference maker, is a Rage versus a 160 proc. And then you can see here he's also got the mythic uniform. However, it's a little bit confusing, and I'm a little bit confused personally, because when I play Black Panther in regular World Boss Ultimate against Proxima and possibly against other bosses, he seems to be able to keep up with Venom. So he's probably as good as Venom for certain content. But then when I take him into World Boss Legend, it's a whole different story. And this is where I think a lot of people are doing their initial testing and then seeing Black Panther really just not up to snuff, right? He doesn't keep up. and then they're just super disappointed. Okay, so now we're gonna go in, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna compare them again. We're gonna give them the exact same team up, which is no team up, just raw damage. Again, Venom should have a pretty sizable advantage because he has a rage, but we know that rage doesn't synergize the way we would hope it to synergize with. That's a horrible start, but we'll just, whatever, it's fine. We'll keep this start to the run. He got stunned there, and the rage proc didn't activate for a while, but we'll keep this run. The thing is, there's going to be RNG with your gameplay. You're never going to have a perfect run every single time. So especially when you're testing a character for the first time, I'm not going to edit the video and be like, okay guys, this was my one good Black Panther run. This is what you can expect from the character every time. There's just no way, right? That's just not going to be helpful or useful to anyone. So we're moseying along here with Venom, doing pretty good. I'm gonna pop the tier 3. Hold it a little bit longer than usual. Okay. We actually didn't end up popping the co-op skill, so I'll pop it now just so we get that guaranteed damage. And he clocks in at just around a minute. So that's pretty much what I was seeing. A minute. Not bad at all. Okay. Cool. Now let's go ahead and see what Black Panther does. Keep in mind, Black Panther doesn't have any ignore dodge. Venom has a little bit. He has 10% on his passive because he's a symbiote. Black Panther doesn't have any ignore dodge until he pops his tier 3. So if you want to make Black Panther work the best, I mean, my Obelisk has ignore dodge. So I was going to say, if you want to make your Black Panther as good as possible, especially for this type of content, for null and things like that, you want to give him a decent amount of ignore dodge on an Obelisk or a CTP of energy, and or bring along strikers that give ignore dodge, bring along Valkyrie that gives ignore dodge. You know, you're gonna have to supplement his ignore dodge because it's only on the tier 3. And unlike other characters where a lot of their damage is stacked on the tier 3, for Black Panther, his damage is pretty decently distributed between his regular skills and his tier 3. Now you can see the first problem with Black Panther is he gets knocked back, which is kind of annoying for sure. So here we go, we pop the tier 3. There's no proc. Okay, cool. Not sure what happened there. Gonna pop the co-op skill to dodge the cage. He's got a lot of burst damage, right? He gets snared there. He's got a lot of burst damage. But the problem is, not only does he get knocked back, but I don't know, it's just like the damage is just not the same. It's very bizarre. Now, I will admit, this is a little bit worse of a run than usual. Like, I'm getting knocked back every single time he raises his sword. So this is definitely worse than some of my other runs. But you can see that I'm already at a minute. So this is where it's very confusing for me as a player, because Venom has a better build, but he's barely faster than Black Panther and gets Proxima. And then I take them into World Boss Legend, and it's like night and day. Black Panther looks terrible here. He really does. And for those of you who might be saying, okay, well, hang on. Maybe it's because he's got an energy. He's got a rage instead of an energy. Okay, so we'll bring in Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight does benefit more than Black Panther and Venom because Black Panther and Venom don't have leadership, and Moon Knight does. Okay, so we're going to take out White Fox, and we're just going to throw in Taskmaster, okay? He does get the insight. He keeps the insight there, but he's not going to get all the chain hit. He's not going to get the leadership, the Kumiho stance. It's like 65% increased damage to villains. But just look at this, right? If you thought it was the rage that was sort of confusing things because he has an obelisk, this is an energy, right? Okay, you see what I'm saying? So I can't even cancel properly to go into the next. Yeah, but you sort of get what I'm saying, right? He's going to clear this in like 30 seconds or less. So it's clearly not the difference between a rage and an energy and an obelisk proc. There's something else going on, but I honestly cannot put my finger on it. And I can sit here for half an hour running Black Panther over and over again, but for whatever reason, when I get to null and I'm testing him, he's just very inconsistent. His damage is inconsistent, his defense is inconsistent, he gets knocked back sometimes, other times he doesn't. And sure, there are things you can do to reduce the knockback. You can, max out his dodge. You could give him a CTP of Rage for the dodge as well. There, he just procced on his 4th skill, so it sort of just ruined the proc's damage because it all fell on the 4. So now his damage is kind of much lower. Yeah, and he's got this like big, it's very strange. He's got this big burst of damage right at the beginning, and then nothing. It's a little strange. I gotta say, it's a little strange. Let's go pop the tier 3. The tier 3 is definitely better. They definitely buffed his tier 3, and he's definitely a lot better than his old uniform. And there's really no point in me showing his old uniform because you guys know. This is probably one of my best runs ever. Okay? I think I'm gonna get snared. Oh, I didn't get snared. Wow. I think this is one of my best runs ever. But you can see he can't keep up. Gets knocked back. So even though he has super armor, he's getting knocked back. And when he gets knocked back, his whole rotation is ruined. But it's so weird, right? It's like there's a big burst of damage and then it's gone. It's so strange. So there's an alternate rotation you can do when you have the tier 3 ready to go. Is instead of doing 3 cancel 4 delayed cancel 5, you do 5 cancel 3 delayed cancel 4 cancel 6, and that will prevent you from proccing on 5 or 3. You still might proc on 4. So he's like 30 seconds slower than Venom. You see what I'm saying? It's very bizarre. They're neck and neck against Proxima, even though he's only got an Obelisk. So that really gave me a lot of hope for the character. I'm like, wow, he's like as fast as Venom, and Venom's got a rage. But then, like, isn't energy really gonna make this much of a difference? And then you also have the question of, well, you know, do you want to deal with the proc, right? And that's the other thing. I will give him an energy now so you guys can see, but I do want to warn you guys. Okay, we're gonna give him this one. I want to warn you guys that I don't think this is a good idea. I've said this for Vision. I've said this for who else recently did I say this for? Maybe just Vision. Kind of Corvus, a little bit Corvus, but yeah, mostly Vision. I don't think I want to deal with the RNG of the proc because you do need to wait for that second hit on the 4th skill, that slash upwards, before you can cancel Shadow Dance. If you could cancel Shadow Dance right away, it would be better. But I honestly think that I do think the devs need to look into his kit. Not because he doesn't have enough damage, but I just think that there's something wrong. I genuinely think there's something wrong with the character. I think maybe the testing was just rushed and his damage is just all over the place. It's not consistent. It's very bursty, but not really in a good way. You know, it doesn't feel good, the kind of burst that you're doing, because sometimes you burst for like 0 damage. Okay, let's see here. Like, yeah, this looks great, right? Yeah, this looks great. I got really lucky there with the co-op skill. I mean, this looks great right now, but it's very strange. And I'm always weary of characters who don't work in World Boss Legend with an Obelisk, but they do work with a CTP. It's always strange. Not always strange to me. Sometimes it's strange to me. There he didn't get it. There he didn't get interrupted. I was very lucky. We haven't missed a single proc yet. This is very good. This is not very good, but this is much better. We're gonna get knocked back here. So 5, 3, 4. I think that was as good of a run as I could have possibly gotten. I do not think I could have gotten a better run there. I skipped both of the cages. And I think on the cage proc that I skipped, I was able to combo and double proc on 4-4 because you do 4 on the co-op skill. So I don't think I missed a single proc with like a bad skill, and I didn't get hit by a single cage, and he's still just neck and neck with Venom. So yeah, I would say that with that being said, now that they both have CTPs and they have pretty much identical builds, it is a little bit not disappointing. It definitely falls short, right? For Black Panther to be getting a rework in the middle of July when Venom got his rework in what, September, October, right? It's not quite a year, but it's pretty close. It's like they're like 9-10 months apart. Black Panther should definitely be outscoring. He might outscore Venom for ABX, but he should definitely be outpacing Venom for this kind of content, right? There's really no reason why not. And keep in mind, he's got an energy. Venom has a rage. So you know, the whole speculative, we have a lot of circumstantial proof, but we don't have actual confirmation from the devs. But it seems like CTPs of energy, and specifically chain hit damage, synergizes and has much greater boost in damage than a rage does with pierce, right? It's that whole, you know, energy plus pierce versus rage plus pierce, right? Pierce and rage are doing the same thing, so there's not really a synergy there. It's sort of like a neutral A cancels B. But with energy, chain hit and pierce, it's like A plus B equals C, whatever. You get what I'm saying. It's not math, but you sort of get what I'm saying. So he's only keeping up with Venom when I kind of bonk Venom down by giving him a rage. Yeah. So honestly, it's very perplexing. It's very puzzling, and I'm not really sure what to say. I'm not just gonna, I don't just want to say straight up he's bad. He's a different character. He doesn't play the same way as other combat types, and I personally kind of like that. He definitely plays more like a universal or a blast type where you're stacking like 3 cancel 4 cancel 5, and then and there's all this burst. But the burst just ends too soon, I think. I think if they tweak the skills so that the animations were longer, or the hits just lasted longer, or sort of, I don't know how they do it exactly, but basically if I could just extend the window in which he does damage, then I think he could be a really special character. So yeah, I'm not gonna call for a rework of the character or a buff for the character, but I would say that I wouldn't mind if he was stronger. And I do think it's a little bit of a letdown that he's not even, that he's still competing with a character almost a year old in the case of Venom. And for those of you that want another like really sobering comparison, okay? Generally speaking, transcended characters are gonna look better at the beginning of a fight because they can pop their tier 3 right away. But okay, let me just do this comparison really quick for you guys. CTP of energy, okay? We go down to Cull Obsidian, very recent combat type. Yes, he has Odin's blessings, but look at his physical attack. It's 48,000. Also CTP of energy, 48,000. What's Black Panther? 47,000. So their physical attacks are actually very similar because Black Panther has one of the highest base stats at tier 3 of any character. So let's go back to this comparison, and we're gonna throw in him exact same team, exact same setup. Keep the camera rolling. We're not gonna, there's no edit here. I hope I hit my proc right away, because if I hit my proc right away, it's lights. Yeah, let's go. It's lights. So you're, this is what I mean, right? Yeah. So again, native tier 2 character, transcended character. But look at this. 22 seconds. 22 seconds. Black Panther, a minute. And that was his best possible run. I promise you, I will not be able to replicate that Black Panther run, more than 2 times in a row. Every third attempt, it's gonna be a train wreck. He's gonna get knocked back. He's gonna get guard broken. He's gonna get stunned. He's gonna get snared. He's gonna miss procs. This is super consistent, and it's 22 seconds. It's less than half the time. Now, we do have a tendency to want every new character to just trump the next character, but that kind of power creep is honestly going to ruin the game. So I'm not asking for, and I'm not hoping for Black Panther to just be straight up better than Black Dwarf. I don't think that should be the case. But in the comics, I mean, what kind of argument do you want, right? If it's what's newest, Black Panther's newer. Okay? If it's comics accuracy, Black Panther can take Black Dwarf one-on-one. He whooped his ass in Wakanda. So, who's more popular in the MCU? There's no question. So on all 3 fronts, in my opinion, on all 3 fronts, Black Panther should be competing with Cull Obsidian. He should be competing with Black Dwarf. He should not be competing with Venom. However, right now he's competing with Venom. So there it is. There you have it. That's sort of my assessment of things. If you want to invest in your Black Panther, look at your Venom tier 3 or look at content of Venom tier 3, and I think that's what you can expect from Black Panther, unless a content creator or a player figures out some other way of using Black Panther that we haven't figured out yet. The one thing I do want to say, and I want to show you guys an alternate skill rotation, if you don't want to deal with the proc you know, drifting or activating on 4 or like the frustration, I think it's not a bad idea at all. It's not the most efficient for World Boss Legend, but it's not a bad idea at all to give him a CTP of Rage. And that's why I warned you guys, and I gave that warning. This is probably not a good idea when I gave him an energy. I may end up unequipping it and equipping a Rage, so I want to save you the 600 crystals. He has 50% guaranteed crit rate. He will not miss a Rage activation. This is not Moon Knight. This is, you know, that Rage is going to be activating like cake, okay? So if you give your Black Panther a CTP of Rage, this is my opinion for your rotation. You should actually do 4, cancel into 5, and then when he's done, do 3, and then let 3 play out. When 3 plays out, that'll be the end. Like 3 will play out into the end of your Rage proc. You'll basically, the very first rotation, when you do 4 and 5, you won't have the accumulation up for that. But after that, you will have the accumulation, and you'll have the added benefit of actually getting the damage and the hits off of the 3rd skill. Because this is free damage that with a CTP of energy, you're just losing that damage because you're canceling it right into 4. And because the accumulation lasts 10 seconds, it'll carry over into the next proc. And your next proc, like your 2nd proc onward, will have like full accumulation stack. So that's an alternate rotation you can use for a Rage. I think that rotation would be very smooth and very straightforward. But, you know, energy synergized with Pierce makes these kinds of rotations less attractive these days. So I know it was a bit of a long video. I know it was a bit of a technical video, but I think a closer look needed to be given to Black Panther in this case rather than just doing a flashy showcase, because there is so much clouding this character right now, and there's so many questions, and there's so much that people want to know. So hopefully I've shed some light on it. Hopefully I've illuminated your perspective on Black Panther a little bit. If I did, hit the thumbs up, and let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.